What's up, everybody? Welcome into Hockey Sense. Great to have you with us for our Friday tradition. Blues win again last night in Nashville. Nashville's terrible. I told you that last week. We don't need headphones right now. I told you that last week that Nashville is one of the worst teams I've ever seen. I mean that. I know they won a couple of games recently. They beat Toronto. They beat Carolina, but to have 3 games against them in 8 days is an absolute gift, and the Blues took advantage of it. And a big win last night in thrilling fashion. You just kind of felt like, okay, this was going to be the game. This would end the Blues 7-game winning streak, but they extended to 8. They were down 2-0 in the game, and then they find a way to come back and tie it up and then eventually take the lead with 2 goals in 22 seconds. I mean, Dylan Holloway continues to do things. Holloway's the guy that if you play him with Robert Thomas consistently, I mean, this guy would be certainly over 70 points. He's already flirting with 70 points as it is. He's now north of 60 points. I just love when I see Thomas out there with Kyrou and Holloway. I mean, what a line that could be. They should get Buchnevich back, and Buchnevich and Thomas have obviously played a lot together. Schen's been great with Kyrou and Holloway. But they've got a lot of options, especially with the way this guy Alexander Texier is playing. I got to get him on the show. We're going to have Texier on here in the next few weeks. I know playoffs are around the corner and all that, and yeah, the Blues are going to make the playoffs. I mean, they just continue to extend their lead. Calgary loses last night to Dallas, so they fall further back behind. I know they still have 3 games in hand or whatever, and Vancouver has a couple of games in hand. But, I mean, St. Louis would have to have just a drastic collapse, even if they just go 500 the rest of the way. If they go 4-4, then, I mean, 8 more points would probably still put them in position. 8 more points would still give them, 93 points? I mean, they just go 500 the rest of the way, they still get in the playoffs. Unless Vancouver just wins every game left on their schedule. Or Calgary wins every game left on their schedule. Dallas is so good. I want to see the Blues play against a competitive team, though. I know they just played Montreal. Montreal has been playing a little bit out of their head. They're not very good either. I know they've been playing good. There's a big difference between a good team versus a team that's playing good hockey. Dallas is a good team. Colorado is a good team. Vegas is a good team. LA is a good team. Winnipeg is a good team. Those are good teams. You face teams like Montreal, they're playing good. I just don't know how good they are. There's some great races around the NHL, though, right now. I mean, you look at this Atlantic division, just absolutely incredible what's going on there with Toronto being now in first place, 1 point ahead of Florida and Tampa Bay. Could you imagine if Florida and Tampa Bay play each other in the first round? I mean, whoever wins that division is going to escape. I mean, just a potential dangerous situation there in the first round. You don't want to have to face any of the Florida teams in the first round. Matthew Tkachuk, by the way, still rehabbing. Probably isn't going as fast or as well as he would like. I don't see them getting him back. Certainly not before the playoffs. If they can win a round or 2 and really go deep into the playoffs, talking about the Panthers, then maybe that would allow enough time for Tkachuk to recover and get back. I just don't sense that's a realistic option. Brad Marchand is expected to make his Panthers debut. We look forward to that. See what Marchand has to say and what he looks like playing with the Florida Panthers. I'm excited to see him play in Florida. Some players just feel like they fit with certain. It's not even the organization, but it's the style of play, and it's the personality of the team. I think he fits really, really nicely with the personality of the rest of the Florida Panthers team. So, again, Brad Marchand, I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like with him in a Panthers uniform. But the Blues, man, I mean, they just continue to find a way. They're going to get Parayko back very soon. I guess Tucker comes out of the lineup. I don't know. Does Leddy come out of the lineup? I mean, it's going to be one of those two. The rest of the players aren't going anywhere. You're not taking Suter out, most likely. You're not going to take Broberg out. You're not going to take Fowler out. You're not going to take Falk out. I mean, Leddy's playing great hockey right now, too, and he brings so much experience to the table. I don't know what his future is here with St. Louis. That's going to be interesting when we get to the offseason, what kind of deals are made. I just kind of had the feeling that they were going to try to move Leddy at the trade deadline. I thought the injury to Parayko prevented that from happening. I thought Leddy was the more realistic, more likely option to be moved, certainly over Falk. And those were the only two players that were really being talked about, at least in certain, and from a rumor standpoint. Who knows what goes on internally? I'm sure they talk about a lot of different things. I want to know what was on the table for that Ottawa-St. Louis conversation. Who was going to go to Ottawa? I mean, the easy thing would be to say it would be Braden Shen and whatnot, but I mean, is Doug Armstrong really going to go ask Braden Shen to waive his no trade to go to Ottawa? I don't think he would waste his time doing that, knowing that Shen wasn't going to do that. I always say the best trades are the ones you don't make. And that's the case once again here. I mean, the Blues are just playing such good hockey. You go back to the Four Nations. I mean, they've been the best team in the league since the Four Nations. They've scored the most goals. Their power play is right around the top 5 in the league. They're right around the league leader in shots against. And they've just got everybody going. Snuggerud's going to come here in the next few days. You know, when that happens, we'll get an official announcement on that here coming up. But he's going to sign. Does that mean he meets the team in Colorado as soon as tomorrow? Does that mean they wait and they bring him here and maybe he gets a practice in on Monday and then plays on Tuesday? They've got a 3-game homestand. You let him make his NHL debut in St. Louis. He's going to play some games. Who do you take out? That's a tough one, too, because the Blues have such a good thing going right now from a chemistry standpoint. Dvorsky can't even get in the lineup right now. I mean, a guy like Texier, who would be the obvious choice to come out, just doesn't deserve to come out the way that he's played the last couple of games. He's drawing penalties. He's hanging on to pucks. He's so shifty. He's got those cutbacks going where he just hangs on to the puck and he just kind of puts the defender into a blender. He's just going all different directions. He's so fast in small areas. I mean, we're just starting to see the tip of the iceberg of what Texier can bring to the table. The question is, can you trust him to be that guy consistently? But for him to sit out as long as he did and come back in and look as fresh as he does, there's something to be said for that. It's not even the freshness, but it's just the confidence that he's playing with. So I tried to envision him last night in a playoff series, you know, and he can be competitive. He competes. He finishes checks. He'll get in on the forecheck. There was a play a couple of games ago against Montreal where he got in on the forecheck, created a turnover, made a nice pass over to Toropchenko. They didn't score on it, but then Texier scored just a few minutes later. He scores goals around the net. He's got a good release from the outside, too. He's a good player. They knew he was a good player. It just took a little while for him to really get going. But I like what I see with Texier. But the Minnesota game with Jimmy Snuggerud, I watched a lot of college hockey yesterday. I had the Minnesota game going at the same time as the Blues game. I was down there for some of the PWHL events yesterday. We'll have Chris Zimmerman in studio here later on in the show to fill us in on what's going on with all these different events, man. But we're not going to have the University of Minnesota at the Frozen Four, which is a little bit of a disappointment. I thought that was going to be part of the intrigue to have Minnesota reach the Frozen Four. You know, you only have to win 2 games to get to the Frozen Four. You just got to come out of your region. Easier said than done. I mean, the NCAA tournament's hard to win, man. I mean, you only have 16 teams. All these teams are capable of beating one another. You get the number 1 seed, Western Michigan. They almost go down. They were in overtime. They needed overtime to win their game. Michigan State goes down. You know, I mean, this is that's the second year in a row they've lost in a regional. I'm talking about Michigan State when they've been considered a heavyweight in college hockey. So it's tough to get to the Frozen Four. Boston University looks good. They were 8-3 winners over Ohio State. I mean, so they look legit. Boston College is going to be legit. But UMass is a good team. You know, they've won championships in the past, and they beat Minnesota. Strange game, though. I mean, I don't even want to get into it, because unless you watch the game, you're not going to have any idea what I'm talking about. But like a goaltender from Minnesota, he had an equipment issue. They forced them to change goalies. The first shot the new goalie faces, The puck goes in, although it was like a double tip. I can't really blame the goalie in that situation, but still, tough spot to be put in if you're a backup goaltender. And so then the starting goaltender comes back in. Minnesota had a 3-1 lead going into the third period, then found themselves down 4-3. Jimmy Snuggerud had 2 goals in the game, including a goal late in the third period to tie it up 4-4, just to force overtime. It was just a back and forth game. But listen, you can see what he brings to the table in terms of his shot. He's got an elite shot. This guy has probably the best shot on the Blues team right now in terms of a one-timer, the best release in the Blues organization of anybody. And that would include a guy like Holloway, who obviously we've seen just tee off and rip one-timers consistently and score a lot of goals doing that and utilizing his shot. Kyrie's got a great shot, obviously, as well. But nobody shoots the puck quite like Jimmy Snuggerud. And so I'm excited to see what he can do from that standpoint. I'm seeing people put on Twitter, like, you know, trying to, like, discredit his all-around game and you know, make a point of his deficiencies defensively. I mean, you ever watch junior hockey? Have you watched college hockey? Have you seen elite offensive players play inside their own end at the junior hockey level, at the college hockey level? I mean, rarely do these guys become true, responsible, efficient 200-foot players prior to getting to the NHL. That's where they learn the defensive side of the game. When you're an elite offensive player, how much emphasis is there on your play defensively? And let's really break down the play. A player got taken down from Minnesota up ice. Snuggerud was covering and found himself in a situation where he's playing defense. He's skating backwards. You're not going to see this guy skating backwards too often in the defensive end. And, you know, a guy got behind him and they scored backdoor. So was that his guy? Was that his fault? I mean, I guess so, but it's not a situation that he normally finds himself in. And if you want to point that out, I mean, okay. Yeah, so he didn't get a stick on the guy backdoor. He doesn't play defense. Typically, he's not going to be in that situation. You'd like to have him maybe have more awareness and break up the play, sure. Anybody would like to see that. But if that's what you're taking away in that game and not focusing on the fact that he basically kept Minnesota in it, and every time he touches the puck, I mean, he was a man among boys out there. Like, he's too good to play at that level. And if you don't see that, then it is what it is. But if you're going to break down his game defensively, they'll have time to do that. And that'll be Jim Montgomery's responsibility. But if you watch any player that comes into the NHL that's highly regarded offensively, or a big-time point producer at the junior hockey level, or in this case, college, typically they don't have a full understanding of how to play strong defensive hockey because they've never really had to. And they've never really been coached that way. When you're the best player to where you're a first-round NHL pick and you're headed straight to the NHL, and you've accomplished as much as Jimmy Snuggerud has, not only at Minnesota, but also internationally, then, you know, I just don't think that's, I'm sure they worked on that with him over the course of the last 3 years, trust me. But you're just going to go by one play, and I know there's other plays during the course of the game but trust me, that's not why he's regarded as such an elite talent. I hope he finishes in the top 3 in the Hobey Baker Chase, as they'll have that event here in St. Louis, the Hobey Baker award ceremony. Be cool to have him be a top 3 and maybe even win it. Who knows? Here in St. Louis. That's going to be at the Stiefel Theater coming up, I think on the 11th of April. We'll get into that with Chris Zimmerman when he comes in. Kelly Chase has a big event coming up. Puck cancer. He's going through cancer for the second time. We're going to have Chaser on the show today. And lots of stuff we'll get into with Chaser. We'll talk a little Blues with him. I may even ask him about Jordan Kyrou. Kyrou was such a whipping boy for such a long time, man. This guy's now plus 21. He had no points last night, but obviously has been playing Uh, Good hockey as of late, putting up some points. But he was +2 again last night. I just like having Robert Thomas play with Holloway and Kyrou. There's just something about it where you just feel like that is um, just a bona fide elite level top line in the National Hockey League. You can balance it out when Bucci comes back, and you can put neighbors with Bucci and Thomas. But when you put two wingers like Kyrou and Holloway with Robert Thomas, it just changes things. I'll be curious to see where things are at between Thomas and Kyrou. You know, they've always had good chemistry. I've never felt like it's been great. I've always felt like there's been another level for those two to reach as a tandem, you know? Like they can get to another level together. I thought Bucci and Kyrou had good chemistry at times, but it's more so Kyrou and Holloway. But you put Thomas with Holloway. We hadn't seen them play together a ton. But you put Holloway with Thomas on a consistent basis, how many points can that guy put up? And just like that, Robert Thomas is well over a point per game now. He's going to get to 70 points, most likely. I think he's at 66 right now. So he'll get to 70 points. We'll see if Kyrou can get to 70 points. We'll see if Holloway can get to 70 points. Beautiful goal by Cam Fowler last night, man. How many goals do the Blues defense have now? It's over 40 goals now on the year. They just continue to score. But I'll be curious. Put it in the comments, man. Who you taking out when Parayko returns? And if Snuggerud's going to get some games in, who are you taking out? Let me explain something else about Snuggerud. You know, he comes from a hockey family. His dad gets it. His agency and his agents, his representation, they certainly get it. And there's not going to be a pressure by his camp to where he's got to play every game and where he's saying, I'm not signing unless I'm in the lineup every game. He knows what he's walking into, to where the Blues are in the middle of a playoff chase, and every point matters. Every game's important, and they really can't be messing around. But just like they got Dvorsky a game, and you're going to see Dvorsky play again too, and especially if they're able to clinch a spot, then you know that could present an opportunity to get both those guys in the game at the same time. And who knows, you know, the last couple of games of the year, certainly the last game of the season, if it doesn't matter for the Blues, do they rest some guys? Do they sit some guys out? There's another opportunity for Snuggerud and Dvorsky. But come playoff time, I think you go to those guys if you need them. Injuries, guys are really struggling. If you're struggling scoring goals, maybe you can look to a guy like Snuggerud. But I just want to see this guy tee up one-timers on the power play. It's going to score goals. But people are like walking away with that game last night, worried about that last play. You can't play defense. That was terrible. He's got so much room to grow. Well, yeah, he's never played in the NHL, but he can score goals. And they'll figure that out. And I don't know how often he's going to be in that situation anyway, where he's defending a rush coming at him as a defenseman, skating backwards. Everyone wants to just pick everyone apart, find the negative. He looked pretty good to me last night. Every time he touches the puck, he just does what he wants to do with it. If he wants to chip it ahead of himself and bank it off the boards to himself, he can do that. He's got a long stick. I think he's quicker than given credit for. Gets around the ice. He just looks different at the college level. Like I said, man among boys, Jimmy Snuggerud. It's good to see him. All right, Kelly Chase is coming up. Looking forward to talking with Chaser. We'll get into a number of different things with Chaser. First Community brings us hockey sense each and every week. You know we love that. Where do I start with First Community today? How about if you're looking in the market for a new home? Even if you're just thinking about it, man, I got big news for you from First Community. You already know that they're one of the largest home lenders in the area. Always had a wide range of home loan products for first-time home buyers, experienced home buyers. Doesn't really matter. They got jumbo loans. But now there's something for every home borrower. It's the Smart Choice Home Loan. The new mortgage product has a rate of just 6.75%, man. That's amazing. 6.75% for all qualified borrowers. 30-year fixed rate, too. So I didn't stumble there. 6.75, 30-year fixed rate. That's exactly what it is. All you need is a 10% down payment. No private mortgage insurance. None of that PMI. Like I charge you for that. That's a huge deal. No fees for the application. No fees for the processing. No fees for the underwriting. You know, whenever you go to some of these banks, man, there's fees. You don't get that with First Community. Check it out, firstcommunity.com. Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop. Download that app today. Find out which location has the drive-through locations. And you can do all your shopping on the app, which is incredible. And then you just pull up and they bring it out curbside. Even if they don't have a drive-through location, you can do curbside pickup on a lot of the locations. They've got that amazing walk-in beer cooler, which is absolutely incredible. They've got the best selection of beer, wine, and booze. They've got cigars there, too. Don't sleep on the cigars. And don't sleep on the paper goods. If you've got parties coming up, graduation parties coming up this spring, Easter, whatever else you've got going on where you're going to have company, get all your party supplies and paper goods that you need over at Dirt Cheap Fun, your one-stop party shop, baby. Cheap, fun. Love Dirt Cheap. Four Hands Brewing Company, voted St. Louis as #1 brewing company. Check out all their tasting rooms. Downtown St. Louis, Kirkwood, Chesterfield, Lambert Airport. You can do date night. You can take the family to the place in Chesterfield. It's incredible. Get that Cam and Strick Podcast Mango Lemonade Hard Seltzer, the best hard seltzer on the market. Blue Note Roofing, David Novak and Company, man. Did you suffer any damage? Wind damage? Tornado damage? Call David Novak, man. Gutters, soffit, fascia, roofing, siding, whatever it is that you need, he's there to take care of you. Huge Blues fan. Look for that big yellow truck with the blue notes all over it. 314-920-5713. That's the phone number. 314-920-5713 for David Novak with Blue Note Roofing. Check that out. Give him a call today. He'll talk pucks with you. Give you that free estimate. Check out and see how old your roof is, too. Even if you didn't suffer damage, you may have some damage up there. And some of these roofing companies or insurance companies, they won't pay for it after it's 10 years or older. So see how old it is now. If you're approaching 10 years, get it fixed while the insurance companies will still pay for it. 314-920-5713 for Blue Note Roofing, proud sponsor of what we do live from the Half Coast Studios, man. We love it here. All right, let's take a break. Kelly Chase, he's going to join me next. Chaser, we'll talk about his event, see how he's doing. He's in a fight, man. You know we're pulling for Chaser. He joins me next here on Hockey Sense. Don't go anywhere. All right, back on Hockey Sense. Brought to you by First Community. Great to have you with us as always. Always look forward to my conversations with Kelly Chase. Chaser, thanks for doing this, man. I want to ask you how you're doing, but also the audience wants to know how you're doing. So don't just speak to me, but speak to the fans that obviously that are going to be watching this. They want to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I had a bout of the graft host disease, which is something that contradicts your body. Your enzymes fight a little bit in your stomach and it causes nausea and, some real sickness. And I've been fighting that off for the last 20 days, but starting to come around a little bit, and it looks good for our cancer game and be able to get out and have some laughs with the guys.
You're pretty confident you're going to be able to go and be at the game?
Oh, yeah, I'll be at the game. Don't worry about that.
You're not playing in the game, are you?
No. So I feel that day.
I saw you playing in L.A. I mean, what does that do for you, though, mentally, Chaser, just to be around so many people that you have such close relationships with, just to laugh and have a good time,
Frustrates you because you can't, you could get to a puck or you want to get to a puck or the play you want to make and you're just a little bit behind. I played on the line with Nelson Emerson. He comes down the right wing. I know exactly what he's doing. We've done this play 1,000 times. He drops the puck to me. I'm going to make one move to the outside and just rip it over to him he's going to hammer a one-timer, and that is a no-brainer. And Yandel just gets his stick in the way, and it's just because I'm a half a step behind. And we made that play 1,000 times, and he comes to the bench and he's laughing. I said, that pisses me off that I didn't do that. He goes, I knew you were coming with me, buddy. Don't worry about it. I knew exactly what was going on.
Yeah, the chemistry never goes away. Hey, what keeps you going right now, Chaser? You're talking to, I mean, our friends reaching out and coming by and seeing you pretty consistently, and
Yeah, I've got a great group of friends, and I've been very fortunate in here that they've had a loose kind of, not loose, but a strong handle, but yet they've loosened it for some of the activities may that I may need to have my lifestyle. In other words, doing podcasts and booking a room where I could set up a commercial or two here or there. So Simon's has been by far and away a blessing, and also um, a place where I really believe I can dig down and have good conversations with them about what's going on with my body and how quickest way to rectify the problem.
what does this do for you from a mental standpoint to be able to somewhat maintain a routine that you're used to, talking to people, doing interviews, doing stuff like that?
Yeah, it's what it does is it keeps you it keeps you relevant, but you want to stay up and top of hockey, so you watch as many games you can. Well, I watch junior games. I watch just to be, just to be elevated in a conversation with the guys that I admire that are still in the game or that are working in the game. So, um, I've tried to keep a constant up, update on these guys, and most importantly, just you know, stay relevant
You've been watching the Blues?
every game.
What do you think, man? What stands out the most to you that has allowed this thing just to get back on track and just kind of catch a lot of people by surprise? Are they playing to their potential or are they playing above their potential?
No, they're playing their potential. They're getting a little contributions from everybody now. All of a sudden, like it's not just relying on your goaltender. Oh man, he's pretty good. Yeah, no kidding. Pareko, I think is pretty good, and I think laying down the swords at the deadline and allowing um, Shen to just lead and not having his name out there exposed help, and also you know buying into what we talked about at the start of the year. It takes a certain player to play for the Blues, and you got to come and bring that lunch pail, and it's going to be a beating, a tough night, but you can win 7 or 8 in a row and feel pretty good about yourself and have the city feel pretty good about you as well. And I think that's what they're doing better than anybody.
I want to ask you about Shen because traditionally the Blues have always had captains that have been great leaders and the face of the team. And I don't think he got a ton of recognition or attention last season for how good of a leader he is. And now you're starting to see that because the way the teammates are talking about him. Even a guy like Ryan Suter, I did an interview with him, Chaser. I mean, he's played over 1,500 games, obviously, and he says this guy is one of the greatest people he's ever met in his career and one of the best leaders he's ever been around in his entire career. He's not going to say that unless he means it, but it's nice to see Shen get recognized not just for being a good player, but for truly being a great captain.
Well, you're right about that. I think, what the small things and the recognition things go unnoticed. He's a lot like Alex Steen, where he recognizes situations outside of the game, whether someone's wife is sick or their child is sick or they need something outside of the game, and he rectifies it, goes about it humbly and quietly. And those are the things that make leaders. And leaders don't go out and strive to be leaders. Leaders happen and evolve by people watching how they carry themselves, their character, and their integrity. And so he has all of that in check and then some. And I think that's a huge difference why you're seeing the uptick in the team as well.
He may not like me telling the story, but Steiner, some people were telling me before Dvorsky came into the building for his first career game, he doesn't know how to tie a tie, and Steiner went over to him and tied his tie for him before he walked into the building. So, I mean, Steiner, listen, that's why, they used to always say the Detroit Red Wing way. They always had one leader to the next, and they always passed down that culture because you're seeing that. Even a guy like Holloway and Kyrou, they're on the ice together, Chaser, after practice. Like they're the last two on the ice every single practice. And everyone always talked about that with O'Reilly and but he passed that down to Shen, he's passed it down to neighbors and all the other young guys, man. It's like the culture that they're creating here is over the last, 5, 6, 7 years, and it goes back to obviously even when you played them beforehand. You got to be happy that that continues to be passed down from one era of player to the next.
Well, more than anything, you're proud because you know you're leaving behind a little bit of a legacy that means something. But for me, knowing that we talk about what it takes to be a Blue, what kind of guys stay in that element, what kind of guys can, want to have that journey or that want to take that path, and then you're rewarded with it tenfold by the way the fans treat you over the course of the rest of your life. And so I think people understanding that and catching on to that, I think it makes their life easier. And notice that there's a lot of guys that have played on that 19 team that are now starting to poke around St. Louis and making it their home, possibly. And I think that it speaks volumes about the way guys are treated in St. Louis and the way they carried themselves when they played here.
Yeah, no question. Sam Goodwin, you probably know the Goodwin family, obviously the hockey players here in St. Louis, and he was held hostage for several weeks in Syria, and he just wrote a book. And I've known the Goodwin family forever, and I've talked to Sam about this in terms of how he got through being held hostage and being captive for all those weeks. And he said just being a hockey player, growing up in that environment, helped him have the mental strength to be able to go through it. And I'm curious your experience playing hockey, Chaser, and being around the game your entire life, how that comes into play to helping you get through what you're going through right now.
Well, first of all, I mean, I speak about this a lot. I think that we have the most unique brotherhood in all sports. So I get calls constantly from guys that are checking in on me. I've had, geez, in the last 14 days, I probably had 6 or 7 guys just fly into town, visit with me, and get on a flight and go back home. And that's pretty special. Means a lot to me. You get that kind of thing, said about you and done for you, and you realize it's pretty special. And so, um, I don't completely remember the full question, but I know that part of what you were getting at is that, that you have this grouping of guys that helps you bond, and in Sam's case, it pushes you to be a leader. It forces you to pay attention to leadership goals that you never otherwise would have thought about. But you have to try and gather people to try and make them feel good about themselves and keep them in an honest, trustworthy kind of an environment. And that's not easy to do, and I say that all the time, like this, do you have your thoughts about you? And in my case, I would say yes, that I feel pretty confident that I've got my emotions in check. But at the times that I don't, I just try and make sure that I'm alone and do it by myself so that when the next grouping of family members come in or the next grouping of buddies come in, I look like I've handled myself already and don't look disheveled and don't look like I'm off course or whatever. I try and really just try and make myself not stand out, but just have a sense of confidence so that it breathes into the rest of the people in the room.
What did it mean to have John Cooper in the middle of a season go out of his way just to stop in St. Louis just to come see you?
Yeah, you know what? That was awesome. But Nelson Emerson's done it, and I wake up lots of nights with Twister in the bed beside me, where he's coming home from a late job and we talk and he falls asleep and then he goes to work from there. Mike Keane just flew in just to see me, just out of the blue, just took his time, flew in. John on. Like I have these guys that just, hey man, we want to come in and see you. We heard you weren't doing well. We want to come in and see you. And to me, that's a big deal. Coach Peyton and the guys that are coming in for this event. The event alone, just friends of mine, a lot of them, some entertainers, some athletes. But the fact that they're making their schedule change around to come in, that's pretty special.
Twister's getting in the bed with you.
That's
I
not
mean,
what I
he saw.
said.
Oh, I thought you said he got in the bed and he fell asleep.
That's how you get. That's how you get yourself in trouble, Andy.
It's got to happen once.
Uh,
I love Twister there. I love how he sleeps there though, and just shows up, man.
yeah, he's the best. He's the best. He'll change, tell the nurses he needs a shower, showers, puts his dirty clothes in his bag, gets another pair of clothes, tears the labels off them, sits down, gets comfortable, lays on the couch beside the bed, and we talk for 3-4 hours. And when I fall asleep, he takes off and he usually goes back to work. Special human being. And for a friend to do that, it speaks volumes about a guy and his integrity and what he thinks of you as well.
Yeah, I love hearing that. You've been through this now twice, Chaser. This is the second round. How's this one different than the first time?
Well, this time I got the transplant and I got the stem cell. So this is supposed to be the one that kind of takes it all away. Unfortunately, I got the graft host disease that comes with it, which means basically your enzymes, antibodies, and everything are fighting inside your stomach, and they won't let your stomach settle down. It's just a big rage in there. And because of that, well, then it causes a lot of complications and pain, and we were hoping to get away with not having it, and it would be, or it short lasted at least, but it's been 3.5 weeks, and I can tell you, if you're going to sign up for a fight, don't pick this guy because he's tough.
What are they telling you in terms of the prospects of when you might be able to leave and go home? And are you able to go home at all during the day? And have you when's the last time you were able just to go home for an hour or two?
I think 4 Sundays ago was the last time I checked in, and they thought it'd be about 3 or 4 days. Turned out to be all month now. So you get real dry, cotton mouth, and stuff like that. Just little things that being in the hospital have its privy to, like really bad diarrhea and vomiting. So there's a lot of things that, you kind of get squashed out of, but you're better off being in here than anywhere else, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the doctors are amazing. The inspiration behind the event to do this a second time, Chaser, how important was it to do this? Again, the puck cancer event, to such a success a year ago. How important was it to go out there and do it again?
Yeah, it was important. It was one of those things where when I got it, I thought, okay, well, no problem. We'll just run period 2 of it, and we know what we're doing. But it became a larger event, a little bit more logistics involved. My company, Spark, picked up to help out. Maddie Nash and my son Will. Will had done it last year for me, so he could kind of show her. Then of course Bruce Affleck. So between Terry and Bruce, they kind of led the charge, and then Maddie and Will have been really just grinding, trying to make sure that we can capitalize and we do better than next year, and so on and so forth. And so far things are looking okay. I believe there's tickets still available, and I believe there's some VIP tickets still available, but not much left. So if you're planning on attending and you want to make a contribution, that's the best way to do it.
What does it mean to have so many of your former teammates and friends take time to come into town to participate in it?
Yeah, I think I just touched on that. It means a whole lot for them to take the time out of their weekend to come in and pull this off. It's unbelievable. Much less there's a fantasy camp we're doing for 120 of them that starts on Thursday night at a draft, and then Friday during the day they'll play, and Saturday during the day they'll play, and it'll be awesome. But the fact that they've committed to all of those things and we can knock everything out on one weekend, I think is pretty special too.
A lot of money can be raised. How do you want to see that money used? Where do you want to see it go?
Well, it'll go to direct research for excitement. I mean, what we'll do is the GV Foundation will be a part of it, and then we'll take our time sorting out exactly which research we want it to go towards, and 100% of it will go to research for Siteman. So we're not going after the garage to be built or new MRI machine or anything like that. We're plugging the holes for research and just allowing them to work their magic, because they're the third largest receiver of donors in the country for lab research, and they do a hell of a job. So we want to keep the money coming in so that they can save my life and save, hopefully, two kids below me and 40 below them. And as the progression grows, figure out an answer to this disease.
All right, so the game is set for April 4th. Puck Cancer alumni game, the second shift. Of course, we did this a year ago. It was one of the better events I've ever been to. It was phenomenal, and it'll be just as good this time. I can't wait for it, Chaser. And looking forward to seeing a lot of people out there. I want to get back to the Blues real quick, and then I'll let you go. Jim Montgomery, you know Monty for a long time. Are there any similarities? And it's too easy to make the connection because in 2019 they changed the coach, and that team probably was underachieving before they got it together. They were considered a cup contender probably by a lot of people coming into the season. But can you see any similarities to how this team has come together? You know, that team won 11 games down the stretch in a row. This team has now won 8 in a row. Is it too easy to make that comparison, or can you see some similarities to how the team has come together?
Well, the team has come together, and it's noticeable. But I think the biggest thing to try and take out of that whole thing is that once you get in the playoffs, you can beat anybody. And when we're watching that, they're beating teams that they might have to face in the playoffs. The beauty of it is they're doing it with a level of confidence. It's not a one-off. And so let's say there's similarities. Yeah, they're the underdog, weren't supposed to make the playoffs, came screaming in, made a bunch of noise, and won. Well, that's just what St. Louis people do. That's their grit and their determination. But there's another way to look at it and say, look at, you guys didn't give yourself much of a chance at the start of the year to be cohesive. And so maybe it was all there all the time. And if anything, we left some stuff on the table at the deadline that we maybe could have picked up knowing we were going to be on an 8-game winning streak. So I think when you watch them play, you just have to be awful proud that these young guys have figured out, hey, you know what? This is kind of fun. This is the way to play. And the older guys already know it and are like, see, we told you it was going to get fun. And once you do that, you set yourself up in a good spot to have a team that's going to really, do some fun things in the playoffs.
Listen, Jordan Kyrou is a -50 combined the last 2 seasons. He's up to a +21 right now. Chaser, what are you seeing from him? Are you
Well, you're
proud of his growth that you're
Fine.
seeing this season? Yeah.
Finally working. He's working on both sides of the puck. He's taking what they're telling him into consideration and not pulling up and losing pucks 12 feet inside the blue line or 12 feet outside the blue line. He's taking defense seriously and understanding that if he puts a puck in certain areas when he doesn't have plays, there's a better chance of him getting him back. There's a better chance of his teammate getting him back. And oh, by the way, it's a little bit more work, but the results are much more encouraging. And that's basically his game in a nutshell.
How's your family doing?
Everybody's doing great. Thank you.
Okay. It's good, man. Listen, we're thinking about you, Chaser, and I know we'll see you out there at the event coming up on the 4th as well. So we'll do this again. Cam and I want to get you back on. You got an open invitation whenever you feel like it, whenever you want to just get something off your chest. Is there anything going on around the league? Anything driving you crazy right now that you want to tell us
No,
about?
I got enough fights in the hospital right now. I don't want to fight with them yet.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do it
Thanks
again,
for
Chase.
having me, buddy.
We love you, man. We'll talk
All
to you
right.
soon.
Take care.
Okay. All right, buddy. That's Kelly Chase. And always a pleasure. Please keep him in your thoughts, man. He is in a fight. There's no question about it. But again, you can support him. You can support cancer research as we continue to fight the fight with this cancer disease that has just affected so many people. The second shift alumni game set for April 4th out at Centene Community Ice Center. Go to NHL.com, blues.com if you want to get information on tickets. We hope to see you out there. We'll get into more of that with Blues president and CEO Chris Zimmerman. He joins me next here on Hockey Sense as we continue along. Lordo's Diamonds. Get that special someone, something special in your life. Lordo'sDiamonds.com. They've been around for 70 years. Can you believe that? You've been around for 70 years. You're doing something right. There's no doubt about it. Lordo'sDiamonds.com. Mike and Jimmy Lordo, the best in the business. Say hi to Mike and Jimmy. Say hi to everybody over there. Pat, the whole crew. You're looking to pop the question, no better place to go than Lordo's Diamonds. Doesn't matter if you have a $100 budget or a $100,000 budget, they're going to treat you the same. Over at Lordo's Diamonds. Of course, Blue Note Roofing, again, David Novak. He knows what it's like to have resilience and to persevere. He certainly has done that personally and professionally. He's looking to fix your roof, too. If you have any wind damage, you have any issues, siding, gutters, soffit, fascia, roofing, whatever it is, 314-920-5713. Check it out. Call Blue Note Roofing today. David Novak. This is Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community, Blues president and CEO, Chris Zimmerman. He joins me next. Looking forward to this conversation. Don't go anywhere. All right, back here on Hockey Sense, brought to you by First Community. Great to have Chris Zimmerman. You found your way into the studio, and I'll give you credit because we bring players in here all the time, and they're texting me. They're lost in the building. They don't know where to go. They can't find their way. And I said to Z yesterday in a text, I said, just go to the back and go to the left. And I mean, I opened the door. He's like standing right outside the door. So how'd you do it?
Find it, huh?
How'd you do it?
Well, I've had a lot of stuff going on already this morning. 7:15 on the ice with our Friday morning hockey group. Big win, the white team over the dark. So I feel like I had some good momentum coming into this challenge.
You like skating that much, you'll still do it at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Friday. But you're carrying your bag into the rink and like doing all of that.
Yeah, I have learned to not leave as much extra stuff in my bag recently.
Yeah.
Like I'm really I haven't gone to Wheels either.
Don't do that.
No,
Or the locker bag.
You should probably stop playing when you go to Wheels. So yeah, but I did. It's like, okay, I don't really need 8 rolls of tape and some of the other stuff that I had in my bag. So I think that's helping my game, lightening up the bag.
Some of these kids will have these massive locker bags, and they're on wheels, and they take up half the locker room. So we actually made a rule: you can't have those. There's no room for them.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Just put it over your shoulder,
Yeah.
Old school style. Did you watch the game last night?
Yes, I watched the game. Last night was a fun, I got down to Busch Stadium for opening day, and I always love doing that. It's there's no day that says St. Louis Cardinals and St. Louis more than opening day.
I know.
And obviously hard for them with the delay, but it's a fantastic event. So we had that. Then you go to the Blues game. Then the Blues game ends, and you're jumping over to see what's happening with Minnesota, and as well as the Calgary-Dallas. Oh, and then to add to that, I was interested in seeing if Arkansas would win in the NCAA game, which I guess they had a lead, and I think
the Minnesota game was going on.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good
sports night.
Yeah,
I would agree. What does making the playoffs mean for the Blues? Is that People ask that all the time, Z, and I know you get asked that nonstop. If I'm getting asked that all the time, I know you are.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
Well, it's
How do you
interesting.
answer?
Well, because people, I think it's actually everyone thinks that that's the financial,
Yeah.
goal line, that you have to get into the playoffs. I'll tell you, for many years during that long streak, what was it, 20?
26 years.
Yeah, in a row, team was still losing a lot of money, and getting into the playoffs wasn't going to
Saving them.
fix it in any way. And so, first and foremost, getting into the playoffs is about rewarding our fans and our players having come together and earned it.
Yeah.
And yet, is there, with each round, is there some financial benefit? Yes, but the dollars there's a league sharing formula.
Not all going to you.
It's not. It's not. And even that year we won, and we were very happy to do this, but the cost of winning,
Oh, God.
but it is
pays for the
pretty
ring?
the team pays for the rings
And the parade.
and parade cost and the cup guys going around the
You
world.
got to pay for that.
We pay for that. So I can tell you, Tom would welcome. We all welcome those costs.
Yeah.
And but I think the bigger thing for sure is that the playoffs they're a benchmark, right? That's your first benchmark of success in any season. And in our sport right now, I think the competitive balance is as good as any, and people that we've seen, the second wild card team win cups. So that's what's so exciting about what's happening right now.
Man, who knows? They might be the first wild card team. Yeah, you just never know how this is all going to shake out. They just won't lose. Knock on wood. They just keep winning games right now, and they're fun to watch, right?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
and this is really, I think, energizing the fan base and the city. When everyone kind of rallies around a team that's winning and had a little bit of that underdog mentality because they were so far out of it, and then to put yourself back in a comfortable position is just amazing.
And none of us know how this ends, obviously, and people want to talk about 19, but really 19 started the first week in January, turning that ship
Yeah.
and gaining momentum. So I think I saw some stats yesterday about teams, just emerging into the playoffs, being as far back as it's very few teams
Yeah, it doesn't
have
happen so
done
often.
what we're in the process of working towards.
Yeah. I always describe the difference because people have brought that up to me as well. I mean, the 2019 team had probably underachieved up to that point, like added all these guys in the offseason. And I think the expectation was coming into the year that the Blues would be a contender. And so they underachieved, and they fired their coach because they underachieved. This was a completely different situation. And I don't want to sit here and saying they're overachieving. I just think it took a little while for them to truly come together, and a different coach was available. They made a change. You had this break during the Four Nations, which allowed the coach to kind of truly sit back and evaluate what he has, and then come back and have a mini training camp for a couple of days and get everybody on the same page.
Well, and I think, and of course, then there's losing your potential Norris Trophy candidate the day before the trade deadline, and just the way guys have stepped up. I mean, who would have expected Cam Fowler to be making the kind of contributions? And obviously, both Broberg and Holloway, those are two guys who had great talent. They had a little taste of it last year, getting to play in the finals, but arguably it was still about potential. Well, no, it's not about potential anymore. And it all, so, and some of it, is getting the chance to play the kind of minutes and to play the role.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That they
the
are.
Opportunity. No, I know. Just getting that opportunity. I would agree. I talked to Holloway about that the other day because he never would touch the ice. It was after Broberg scored the overtime winner in against Vancouver, and he never. I mean, he got the assist on the play. He never touched the ice in 3-on-3.
Yeah.
with Edmonton. Broberg never got out there in 3-on-3. And obviously, having played in the playoffs, though, last year in the Stanley Cup final is going to be huge experience that they're going to be able to take with them into this year, hopefully, assuming the Blues get in the playoffs. Snuggerud, he loses, so we'll see what happens with that. I mean, I think like everyone, you were hoping Minnesota were to
Sure.
reach the Frozen
Yep.
Four with St. Louis hosting. Would have created great headlines and a lot of theater from that standpoint, but you're still going to have 4 really, really good teams, assuming some of these teams don't fall off. You still have some big time heavyweights that are still left in the tournament.
Well, I think the Frozen Four is going to be a great event, no matter what 4 teams end up here.
Yeah.
We've this will be our 3rd time hosting.
Yeah.
It's actually the 50th anniversary of the first time that St. Louis hosted the NCAA hockey championships. That was obviously back at the arena, and getting the Frozen Four back here was obviously one of the outcomes we wanted from all the work we put into the building.
Mm-hmm.
That process, obviously it was for every day, every concert, every event, but it was absolutely about competing for these championships against brand new buildings in shiny cities, whether it's Vegas or Tampa. And I think, well, I can tell you just in the preparation that's going on and the local organizing committee and what they're doing around when players arrive and lounges at the hotels for them, and really working to make sure that when the people who, quite honestly, from the NCAA and others who come to all the different cities and are making these decisions, that they feel like St. Louis over-delivered for every group, whether it's fans, student athletes, all the governing bodies, all of those other things. So it's a big deal, and we will be ready.
Yeah. It's a process to get a tournament like that, too. You don't just like submit an application and turn it in and wait to hear back from them, right? There's a lot of work that goes into it.
Well, so yeah, the NCAA typically, since I've been here, they do that. We've had both 4-year bid cycles as well as 2-year cycles, which we're in right now. But we'll be bidding again for future events this fall with the NCAA. But we have this year, we've got obviously the Frozen Four Ice Hockey Championship. Next year, 1st and 2nd round NCAA March Madness again. And then the following year, we've got NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships, which will be, I think, the 9th time.
Which are incredible, by the way. I will say, like, I didn't know what to expect. I remember I got assigned to go cover that years ago when I was working for KMOX. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't really looking forward to it. And it'll go down as one of the greatest things I've ever been to. Like the emotion and how invested these athletes are and the fans are and their families are. And to be able to see it behind the scenes too, like especially when a wrestler would lose and like how distraught they were and everything they pour into it, Z, as you know. It's an incredible event. So if you get a chance even to head out there for a few hours, like it's worth it. It's a lot of fun. The PWHL, that's going on right now. And I was out there yesterday, got a chance to see Jinsey, and we had her on our broadcast last night during the Blues game. And she's, a huge success story. I mean, arguably the best female player to ever come out of St. Louis, although her sister may have something to say about that in the next few years down the road. She knows that too. But this is an opportunity to do what, in your opinion, to bring an event like this to St. Louis?
Well, back in 2020, we really committed to wanting to grow girls and women's hockey in St. Louis. And, ultimately, I keep saying, we want to make St. Louis one of the great hockey markets in the world. And you do that through every level of play, through men's and women's, through our, Blues special hockey, Warrior hockey. We want to make the game matter at every level.
Yeah.
We want to bring more people to it, which we're doing in some significant ways through our Learn to Play programs. the work on facilities, and they're more, in the pipeline. All of those things give us that opportunity to do what I think people, sort of before us have set up, which is take St. Louis of where we were as a global hockey market and elevate it. And certainly, I had just gotten here in 14, and when, 2016, when you have the draft and 5 St. Louis kids in the first round, obviously we were legit at a very, very high level. And now our work just continues to try to deepen that, create more opportunity and possibility. And so the PWHL is coming here is another step. During the 2020 All-Star Game, we had the women's 3-on-3 challenge. We've had U.S. Canada out at Centene for pre-Olympic Games. Bringing the best women in the world here and giving young girls a chance to see them, that's a big deal. We've got a couple of clinics going on for teams today and tomorrow. There's women in sports leadership. If you look across, whether it's the WNBA, which obviously Caitlin Clark has given this huge boost, the Women's Professional Soccer League is becoming stronger and stronger, more investment going there. Women's hockey is not at those levels yet, but the establishment of this league in these first couple of years, I think they're doing a lot of things right, and that's the path to keep growing and making women's hockey more important.
Yeah, I think there's 6 teams in the league right now. They want to expand, but having this takeover tour and going to different markets, a lot of these markets that have NHL teams in it too, will only be big and huge moving forward. All right, so you've had a Stanley Cup final, you've had an All-Star Game, you've had Winter Classics. What's the one event? I mean, is it the World Juniors? What's the one event you would and now obviously with the PWHL coming to town and different things that have been here. What's the one event you would love to Frozen Four? What's the one event you would love to host?
Well, I think on the list of big events, it's World Juniors. We've competed hard for that event twice. And certainly, particularly the first time, I remember getting the call from USA Hockey where they said, hey, we do this a lot. This is the hardest call we've ever had to make because you guys made it so hard for us, which made me think, well, if we made it so hard, why didn't you make the other decision?
Yeah, exactly.
But we continue to aspire to host that at some time, and I think the other sort of world competition would be the U18s, which is also
another great
tournament. It's actually more important for scouts,
for the pro scouting staff, or the amateur scouting staff, I should say. Yeah,
and so that's another event we've had some discussions with USA Hockey about. But mostly, I'd like to bring the Stanley Cup Finals back here. That's the one that I really want and that we're all working for every day.
You never know.
Listen, I think you don't ever know. You don't ever know.
We had a goalie who's been there before, a really good team.
Who, I was lucky enough to get to be up in Montreal and then in Boston. And
were you there for the championship?
I was. I love international hockey. I love Olympic hockey when we've got the best players in the world, and I think all the stars just align for those two games to be great, just really great battles. And I think you saw coming out of Four Nations, I think as much as enthusiasm and interest in the NHL as we've had for quite some time.
Yeah. Let's get a World Cup here.
World Cup would be would be interesting. Yeah, it's hard. That's an
And I'm
event.
talking hockey, by the way.
Yes,
Sorry.
yeah. The World Cup, which will get played again. I don't know. It's
Years,
a few,
whatever.
yeah, it's a few years out. It's probably going to focus on bigger
Bigger
cities and markets,
Yeah.
which the other events, because they're bigger global events, they don't need as much to be okay. We're going to be in New York,
Yeah.
Boston, or Toronto.
I mean, I agree. That's probably how they think. I don't think the event is any bigger, has a bigger feel because it's in Boston. You know what I mean? It's good no matter where, whatever NHL building you play that in, whatever NHL city, you're gonna sell it out, and it's gonna be must-watch television.
Yeah, no question. I think it's just some of the
mindset,
sponsors, media.
I got you.
I think it's much more about that. But listen, I think we're just really happy where we are in attracting events and then the response we get. The ACHA,
Yeah,
College Club
great.
Hockey, where what are we hosting 6 of 7 years?
Yeah.
I mean, we're essentially becoming their home, and that's a great event, and a great event that has 80 plus teams across all their divisions, and so the number of room nights and bar tabs that are going up. Those are also things that
I went up
we'd
there
like to contribute to.
for a couple of days. My nephew was in town playing in it, played for Indiana University. My sister-in-law got smoked with a puck.
Oh, really?
I mean, 8 stitches cut her open during the game. I mean, he just came over the glass.
Yeah.
So you gotta pay attention when
Yes, you have to.
and she was,
Yeah.
but you just gotta hope that it doesn't hit you, I guess, if the puck goes flying. So, well, congrats on everything going on, Z. I mean, again, I feel like we've done this over and over again, just kind of promoting all the events coming to St. Louis, but I'm happy to do it. Let's just keep it going.
Well, we appreciate that, and I know you've even this morning you can continue to let people know about the puck cancer event on next Friday out at Centene. As I've said before, I mean, the work that Chaser does, the heart that he has and brings to this is an amazing skill, and I can't tell you how much I admire his strength, his courage, and his fight, and it's really awesome.
Yeah. Well, his interview obviously preceded yours, so amazing to see him even having the strength, and he's watching every game and he's breaking it down and whatnot. And he did confirm Dirks Bentley and Garth Brooks will be back like they were last time. So it's going to be a great event. It was a great event last year. I'm looking forward to April 4th once again. And there may be a handful of tickets. What about Frozen 4 tickets? Can fans still get their hands on those or no?
Yeah, so there are, we've sold out our tickets. I think probably the best way will be once the schools have qualified, they'll either use all their tickets or not. So that'll be one way. I do think there's probably a few premium opportunities, and if you have a group, I know my Friday morning hockey group, they got together to get a suite. I think we
ask you about that. The dads on my hockey team, they were all talking about
yeah, it's probably the best way to get tickets right now, particularly if you can put together a group, is to reach out to the St. Louis Blues ticketing staff, and we do have a few suites available.
Okay. All right, we'll talk about that. Yeah, it's the best way to do it. Watch the game in a suite,
It's really fun. I know, and it just makes putting a group together for that is a good deal.
Congratulations on everything once again, and let's hope for a long spring, and we have hockey here in St. Louis for the next several months. So
love it. Well, thanks for having me.
Next few months at least.
Yeah.
Chris Zimmerman, always a pleasure to have you in here. We'll come back and wrap things up after this. Don't go anywhere. All right, I hope you enjoyed the show today. Kelly Chase and obviously Blues president Chris Zimmerman for coming by. I'm Andy Strickland. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Hockey Sense. As always, brought to you by First Community. They got some unreal things happening. Also, sign your son or daughter up for Little Blues. I've been saying that forever. It's the best way to introduce your son or daughter to the game of hockey. But they've got so much stuff happening in terms of banking. If you run a business, I'm talking to you, business owners, right now. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, First Community, they offer competitive rates on commercial loans, lines of credit, commercial credit cards. It's all designed to help you thrive in business. They want to see you have success. They've got a dedicated team to help you get the funding you need to seize those new opportunities. So if you didn't know First Community did commercial loans, now you do. Commercial vehicles, equipment, real estate, even SBA loans. First Community has been in business for over 90 years. Check it out, firstcommunity.com. We appreciate all the support we get from them. Jamal Mayers was unable to join us this week as well. Bartolino's, all their different restaurants they have around town. Check that out. That's where Jamal's having dinner tonight. You know that. And of course, Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. They get you in, out, up, and fixed the same day. Oil changes, new tires. They've got the best selection, best prices on tires. The Dobbs family of business, Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, who bring us Jamal Mayers each and every week, who is unavailable to join us on this edition of Hockey Sense. So for everybody affiliated with Hockey Sense here at Half Coast Studios, for Aiden and Kelly Chase and Chris Zimmerman, I'm Andy Strickland, reminding you to keep your head up and your stick on the ice. We'll do it again next Friday, as we do each and every week. It's our Friday tradition. Hockey Sense, baby. Have a great weekend, everyone.